How do you know if you're ready to begin selling your artwork? That's a legitimate question. Um, if you've been painting for a long time, you've been painting for a small amount of time, and you've just been doing it as a hobby, and you're not completely sure when you know that you're ready to begin selling, then I think that I've got about 4 different ways that we can evaluate and look and see if this is something that you're ready to do. So let's get started. Are you ready for selling your artwork? We're going to go over 4 different things for you to consider, and I'm going to give you my opinion about these things. These are definitely not the only 4 things that you need to consider, but these are 4 important things that you do need to think about. Okay? First of all, is the art that you're creating original? Is it different? Is it unique? Is it something that you have created from your own mind and not something that you have learned in a class or that you've copied um, from another artist online? This is very, very important. And I would say that this is the number one thing that you need to really think about and consider, because you don't want to sell someone else's work. It's not going to be helpful to you if you have taken, let's say you've taken one of my classes, for example, and you painted something that looks exactly like the tutorial, which is your goal. The tutorials are there for you to use as a step-by-step lesson. But if you take that lesson and you take that painting and then you put it out into the world and say, this is something that I've created, it's original to me, this is my artwork, then it's probably going to be found out. Most of the time, when someone takes classes and they do the step-by-step lesson and then they turn around and try to sell it as their own work, the teacher, the other classmates, most of the other artists, or just customers that are online recognize it, because most people have a very distinct way of creating art. And the way that I make things is a little bit different from the way that you may make sort of the same, maybe the same tutorial. It may have a little bit of a slant, but what you need to try to do is get to a point where you are creating work that doesn't look anything like anyone else's, as much as possible. I know that we all are inspired by a lot of other artists, and nothing is completely original. There's no way that you could do that. But you need to try really hard to begin developing your own look and your own style, whether that's through the color choices that you make, the textures, the mediums, whatever it may be. Before you begin selling your work, it's a really, really good idea for you to be as original as possible. And one thing that has happened to me in the past as a teacher is sometimes I have not made this known to my students well enough, and I've had customers who have purchased one of my paintings. They may have purchased a print of something that I painted or an original piece of art from my online shop, and then they see someone else put the same kind of painting out there as their own, and then that customer will contact me and say, hey, there's someone that's copying you. I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if you are allowing this. And so what it does is it not only makes me look like um, my artwork that I'm selling is not special and original and unique, but it also makes it look like the person who has taken my class and painted the exact same thing that I painted and then tried to sell it as an original piece of artwork is not being honest. And they may have been completely oblivious to the fact that they shouldn't do that. And most of the time, if you're a beginner, this is something that's tricky. It's something that is a little bit controversial, and it's something that people don't really want to talk about, but it's important. And being original and not trying to sell someone else's work is going to help you so much more than if you were just taking a class from this artist and trying to sell it, taking a class from this artist and trying to sell it. What you should do is take your classes. That is, you need to take classes. That is a good idea. But when you take a class, copy what they're doing, maybe paint it a few times, maybe paint it 10 times. And each time that you do it, try to begin to change it. Try to begin to make it something that is just yours, okay? So your number one filter that you need to try to think through is, am I creating original artwork? If you're not, then you may not be ready to sell yet, okay? So number two, would you hang this in your own home? And this is something that I had to work through at one point in time. I was painting a lot of different things. And most of the time, the things that I painted were not things that I necessarily liked. I was painting things that people were asking me to paint, um, like a challenge almost. So I had to get to a point where I was painting things that I wanted to hang and would be willing to hang in my own home, because those are the things that are going to be exciting and special, and you're going to be able to talk about it in a way that that helps you to elevate it to a point that is something that someone would want to invest in. Okay, so you've got to believe in your own work. If you're painting things that you don't necessarily like, then it's going to be really, really hard for you to talk about those things. And you're going to have to talk about them because you're the only person who's going to promote your work, especially if you're selling online and if you're trying to do this yourself. You're not going through a gallery or some other form of representation. Then you are your spokesperson, and you are the only one who can talk about your work, and you've got to be able to talk about it in a way that shows your customers that you really believe in it, you love it, you would hang it in your own home. Okay, so if you can't say that you would hang it in your own home, then you may not be ready to sell. Okay, number three is, can you part with it? Sometimes we get a little bit too attached to our work, and this is something that you really have to consider. When you paint something, are you willing to part with it? Are you willing to exchange the value of money for your heart and soul that you've put on a canvas? Because that's basically what we're doing, huh? So just try not to get too attached to it. You're going to have to be okay with letting go of your work. And if you're not ready for that, then you're going to be a little bit bitter toward your customers. You may hike your prices up way too high because you don't want to let go of your work, and that's not going to help you to sell. So number three, I know that may sound silly, but it is sometimes a problem. You have to be willing to let go of the work. Okay, number four is, are people asking to buy it? And I get messages and emails sometimes from some of my followers or customers or students, and they say, I'm so excited because I painted something, I shared it, and people are asking if they can buy it. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to price this. I don't know. So that's a very exciting and very a little bit challenging, really. But it's a very exciting and encouraging time when people are asking to buy your work, even when you hadn't even really thought about whether or not you wanted to sell it. So that's another sign that you're ready. So if you're ready, we've gone through these four things, and they are ready, they're asking to buy it, then that is the perfect time for you to begin selling. There may be some other issues that you may have to work through. There may be some other questions that you have. But basically, if you go back through this, look at these four things to consider. If you can make original artwork, you're proud of what you're making, you would hang it in your own house. If you are okay with letting go of the things that you create and people are asking if they can buy it, then yes, you're ready and they are ready. And that is the perfect combination. So if you are ready for this, then I'd love to help you more on a regular basis. I am currently in the process of creating something called the Little Bluebird Society, and that is going to be a membership group for artists who are ready to sell their work. And we're going to talk about different topics each month. We'll have guest speakers, we'll have assignments, we'll have support and help. And if this is something that you're ready for, then I would love for you to come on in and join us. And you can find more at artbyamandaHilburn.com. So I hope this was helpful to you, and hopefully it will help you to evaluate and decide whether you're ready to sell your artwork or not. See you next time.